Everybody thinks they know the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story, but I'm going to tell you Toastmasters my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves like to eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks might think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, I don't know how this whole thing got started. The real story began with a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear sweet granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked to my neighbor's house to borrow a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? Who in his right mind built a house out of straw? I knocked on the door of the straw house. It fell in. I didn't want to just walk into someone's house, so I called out, "Mr. Pig! Mr. Pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to leave without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. Well, suddenly, I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed, a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but that house, that straw house, fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. Now, I'm not going to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I did the only thing there was to do. I ate it up. Think of it as a giant cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. Now, this guy was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. No answer. I called out, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He answered, "Go away, Wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hair on my chinny chin chin." I was just about to take my hand off the doorknob when suddenly I felt my cold coming on again. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed another sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but that straw house fell down just like his brothers. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig in the middle of the pile of sticks, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know how food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was feeling awfully full, and my cold was feeling better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar for my dear granny's birthday cake. So I went on to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the door of the brick house. No answer. I called out, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little Uncle Porker said. Go away, Wolf. Don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar. And he wouldn't give me one little cup for my dear, sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig! And I felt my cold coming on again. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed. And then that pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when someone talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and trying to break down that pig's door and going a little crazy. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you would loan me a cup of sugar?